Welcome to the final deliverable of my ballet paper feeders for my practicum. First off, we have my Swan Lake inspired paper feeder. For this theater, I stuck to very blue, green, and highlights of peach for the color palette to kind of keep everything cohesive and for it to have continuity. This is the background. And this is the corps de ballet dancers, or the little swans, who are also supposed to go in the background. I folded some Bristol paper accordion style after painting it with watercolor to help make the structure of the theater. And I feel like everything layered very nicely. A lot of this practicum has been very experimental more than anything, and I was thankful for the chance to experiment and figure out new ways to make two-dimensional art more interesting. This is my Waltz of the Flowers paper theater, inspired by the Waltz of the Flowers from the Nutcracker. For the background, I decided to do watercolor roses, and instead of thinking about what the background would be like in the whole ballet, I just wanted to focus on this one scene and just kind of take the concept of Waltz of the Flowers and run with it and see what I could experiment with from there. I focused on just 4 dancers, and I wanted the background to still be the pop of color, so I made their tutus cream with flower accents so that the background popped more. I also wanted them to be in the same pose because this scene of the Nutcracker Ballet is very uniform and all the dancers are moving in sync, and I wanted to convey that in this paper theater. This is my Romeo and Juliet ballet-inspired paper theater. I was very inspired by the Italian Renaissance and the pictures I found from different scenes of the ballet itself. This was one of my first ideation sketches. I chose the scene of the Masquerade Ball in Act 1 as my inspiration. And I wanted Romeo and Juliet to kind of be the invert of the background dancers. This is the A Midsummer Night's Dream inspired paper theater. This one is probably one of my weaker concepts, but I was experimenting more with depth on this one and decided to make Titania front and center and on the front slide, just kind of see what that did to depth. The fairies in the background were very fun to design. I probably could have made more, but like I said, I was kind of going a little bit more experimental with this one, and I did a more detailed watercolor background as well. I wanted it to be a more colorful take on Midsummer Night's Dream, and as you can probably see, a lot of these theaters are supposed to be geared more towards children and have that children's book look about them, kind of thinking about like the pop-up books that you loved to read when you were a kid. And I think I've really found a niche that I want to hone in on. This is the Giselle Ballet. This is also probably one of my not as strong ones, but I chose this one because I felt like it's a really unique scene, and I felt like the autumnal color palette was one I hadn't done yet. So Giselle is dancing at the Harvest Festival, and this is kind of a happy scene of what is usually rather a very sad ballet. I wanted Giselle to pop against the background, and I want her to stand out from the Corps de Ballet dancers and from the autumn background as well. I tried to make the movement of her skirt evident with the watercolor. This is more of the process. Overall, I am pleased with this project, and I feel like I've really found a niche of mine that I want to focus in on, and I can't wait to make more.